Hey everyone, welcome to Small Business Strong. I'm your host, John Lane, and it's the weekend as of recording this. So, we're going to talk about something that you can do this weekend to increase your home's value. Last week, we talked about two things that you can do to increase the value of your home before you sell it. If you missed, you have to go back and check it out. But basically, those two things are floors and walls. Our realtor told us floors and walls sell a house. And so, going off that, I'm going to give you some tips about how you can paint your walls. So, before you pick up the brush, please listen to this. It's going to save you time and money. Before you paint your walls, you need to pick the right sheen. If your walls are beat up, do not go shiny. Higher sheen shows more flaws. Most homeowners think color first, but I usually think sheen first. The wrong sheen can make a bad wall look way, way worse. Flat hides flaws. Eggshell is great for most interior walls. Semi-gloss is good for doors, trim, kitchens, and bathrooms. Basically, the higher sheen it is, the easier it is to wipe and to clean. If you are cleaning a wall that's flat, likely you're going to rub off the paint before you get it clean. The second tip is prep. Prep really is everything. You're going to want to go spackle the nail holes, repair any drywall damage, match any texture that is mismatched, remove blinds, outlet covers, hardware, or really anything that's in the way. You got to clean any baseboards or window sills, any dirty walls, or all that stuff could end up looking really bad when you paint it. The second tip we're going to talk about is prep work. A good paint job is won or lost before paint ever hits the wall. Prep truly is everything here. Don't paint over nail holes, dents, bad texture, dust, or grime and expect it to look professional. You want to spackle all those nail holes, take care of any dents or any areas that have bad texture in the wall, any patches you need done, make sure it matches good. Wipe down the window sills and the baseboards before you paint. When you paint over dust, it looks really grimy when it dries and it looks terrible. If you skip the prep, the paint may look new, but the wall still looks bad. Tip number 3, I love this tip. It's do not rely on painter's tape. I've never seen a professional painter come in and tape everything off when they're brushing and rolling. Now, typically when you spray, you obviously need to tape everything off because you don't want overspray everywhere. But painters will have painter's tape on them because they tape off certain areas in different applications, but they don't go around and tape off all the trim, all the ceilings. They do a technique called cutting, and this all over YouTube. You can go learn about it if you don't know anything about it. The reason they do this is painter's tape is not magic. You don't just put it down and it's a clean, crisp line. It can bleed, it can pull paint, and it still leaves ugly, jagged lines. If you want a cleaner paint job, learn how to cut a straight line with a brush. Painter's tape helps sometimes, but don't let it be your whole painting strategy. Tip number 4, when you learn how to cut in corners and edges well, you're going to cut first and then roll after. The reason you cut first and then roll is because your finish can look choppy. Something we're going to talk about really that rolls into tip number 5 is keeping a wet edge after you cut. So if you want to avoid paint lines, keep a wet edge. Don't let your cut in dry before you roll it. Cut a section, roll it while it's still wet. That helps everything to blend well. A lot of flashing and wall lines come from letting the paint dry in sections before blending it. Tip number 6, I love this one. So when I started my business, they did not have 18-inch rollers. So they only had the traditional 9-inch rollers. I think there's probably some 12-inch rollers out there somewhere, but my Home Depot never carried them. But when they got 18-inch rollers, I was one of the first people to pick them up because I was so intrigued by them. Yeah, you have to buy a bigger bucket and you have to, the rollers are more expensive, but I want to try it out. I talked to the guy behind the paint counter and he said, no one is using these. I asked him why. He said, well, they're just used to the traditional 9-inch roller. I think another reason that people don't use them is because a lot of painters I talk to are paid hourly. And so they're just traditionally used to doing the same thing over and over, and they don't have a reason to step it up into an 18-inch roller. However, for me, it makes sense to save time. So this is something I pass on to all of my homeowners. Get an 18-inch roller. Even if you're just painting one room, it's going to save you tons of time. Now, if you're worried about cleaning it, and if you really are just painting one room and then the next week you're going to paint another room, might be worth it to just use a 9-inch roller. But if you're painting your entire house and you're doing multiple rooms a day, or maybe you have a larger living room and you're painting that in one day, highly recommend using an 18-inch roller. It's going to save you a ton of time. Another tip I always share, if I give homeowners a bid and it's higher than they want to pay, I always tell them, hey, reach out. If you end up doing it yourself, reach out and ask me questions. I'm happy to help with anything. So one of the tips I always share with them is, hey, I always buy high quality paint. For me, I shop at Home Depot, so I use Behr Marquee. That is a very high quality paint, and typically you get one coverage. I say typically because if you're going, light off-white walls to black, that's usually going to take two coats, but that's an extreme example. I did agreeable gray over lime green, and 90% of that house, maybe 80%, I could do one coat. There was like the hallway area where I had to do two coats. But you don't have to buy Behr Marquee. You can buy another brand of paint, but I would make sure it's a one coat coverage. That's going to save you half the time. I've been in one house and they provided the paint, and I don't do this anymore, but when I first started, they wanted to provide the paint, so I allowed them to, and it was Sherwin-Williams. It was the contractor grade Sherwin-Williams paint, and I had to do three coats in a room, and that was a total waste of time. I did 3 times the labor. From that point on, I always brought my own paint, and I always buy high quality. For me, it's Behr Marquee. I always buy high quality paint, and that way it's one coat and it's done. This is one of the biggest tips, especially if you're doing it yourself, because likely your life is busy and you don't have time to waste on painting the exact same room, the exact same color 2 to 3 times. So those are my 7 tips. If you want a good paint job, it's not just paint, it's prep, picking the right sheen, cutting, rolling, and patience. If you want your house to look more valuable, don't just slap paint on the wall, do the right process. Paint can increase your home's value, but only if it looks clean, consistent, and professional. With these tips, I'm fully confident that your paint job will look more professional. As always, if you have any questions, you're welcome to email me at smallbusinessstrongpodcast@gmail.com. So thanks for watching, and until next time.